Pakistan's Prime Minister has accused India of igniting an inferno with the missiles it launched at his country overnight. Shehbaz Sharif said India had made a grave mistake for which it will now have to pay the price. At least 31 people were killed in the overnight attacks. India says it was targeting what it calls terrorist infrastructure in 9 different locations. The Indian strikes were followed by heavy Pakistani shelling across the line of control, which India says killed between 10 and 15 people.
The smouldering remains of a home. Shell casings from last night's gunfire, mixed with broken bits of people's lives. Villages like Salamabad, along the line of control in Indian-administered Kashmir, pounded overnight into the morning, as India and Pakistan exchanged artillery fire, reporting dozens of casualties on both sides. Many of the injured residents from Salamabad were brought to this nearby hospital. One of the burned-down homes we saw earlier belonged to Badruddin Naik and his family.
Me and my children had barely enough time to run after 2 Pakistani shells landed in the middle of our home. You've seen our loss. We have nothing left.
India under pressure domestically to respond to last month's attack when gunmen opened fire on tourists in Indian-administered Kashmir. 26 people died. The deadliest attack on civilians in recent years. India blaming militants operating in Pakistan, an allegation Pakistan denies.
India exercised its right to respond and preempt, as well as deter more such cross-border attacks. These actions were measured, non-escalatory, proportionate, and responsible.
And this was the response. India says it targeted and destroyed 9 militant training camps operating in Pakistan-administered Kashmir and beyond. Pakistan says dozens of civilians were killed in those attacks. Calling the military action an act of war, it is vowing retaliation.
Pakistan reserves the right and will respond to this aggression at a time, place, and means of our own choice.
As border towns and villages like Salamabad lay abandoned, people in the region are left hoping that this brings recent tensions to an end and not merely the beginning of a longer and more protracted conflict. Samira Hussain, BBC News, New Delhi.
The Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, said the rising tensions over Kashmir will be of serious concern to all communities in Britain. Like others, he is encouraging dialogue and de-escalation. Our diplomatic correspondent, James Landale, is with me. Donald Trump has also weighed in tonight. There's always a risk, James, in these circumstances that a response leads to an escalation neither side can stop.
Yeah, and that's the question everybody's asking tonight is how does Pakistan respond and what response does it provoke from the Indians? The question, of course, is whether they can control what's called this escalatory ladder. Both sides seem to think they can. They both seem to be saying, well, we're being measured, we're being non-escalatory. The risk, though, is one that the Foreign Secretary, David Lammy, and others have pointed out today, which is one of miscalculation. Because if that happens, there is a risk this spirals out of control and then you end up with a regional conflict, maybe a proxy conflict with allies piling in on both sides, or even worse. Remember, we are talking about 2 countries that possess nuclear weapons, at odds over one of those militarized regions in the world. And there are 2 other factors making this harder. One is you've got 2 wars already in the Middle East and Ukraine. That is distracting the international community. Most leaders today have been saying, well, they're pleading for restraint and not much more. And secondly, you've got the United States seemingly unwilling to engage diplomatically. Normally, they've played a mediating, restraining role in this conflict. As you said, President Trump tonight said merely, and I quote, "If there's anything I can do to help, I'll be there." It's not exactly proactive diplomacy. So you've got a distracted international community, you've got a lack of US leadership, you've got rising nationalist rhetoric from both sides. So it's clearly a very, very serious situation and the stakes are high.
James Landale, thank you.